Hello and welcome back to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode 102. And probably for the first time this season, it is going to be entirely positive. It's us. We'll find something to be negative about. But generally, what a week it has been for Heart of Midlothian. And we're going to talk about all of it. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Daniel McIver, joined by Mr. Adam Kennedy. Adam, how are you?
I'm great, mate, but I've got to get this negative out of the way. The negative is, despite back-to-back clean sheets, despite back-to-back away victories, the international break is round the corner. And why on earth the Hearts have to find form now, where we've got a week with no fixture, and then we've got half of the old firm at Tynecastle in the following week. There's your negative. But other than that, there's plenty to be positive about. So I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I was about to say, we lasted a minute before we got some.
Got to get out of the way because we're going to get carried away here.
That's fair. However, there is a lot to be carried away about this week, which is a rarity this season due to the bad luck we've been having with injuries, poorer performances and results, but that has not been the case this past week, as Hearts, after nearly breaking their record for no clean sheets, actually go back-to-back with away clean sheets, as we were saying just before we started recording. A rare occurrence. Yes. And incredibly, the first of those came in our second Europa Conference League group stage game, where we travelled to Latvia. Well, we personally didn't, but the team and a lot of fans did. And
very envious of those that did, by the way.
It looked fantastic. It looked great. So I hope everybody... well, I'm not even going to that. So, I'll be at the home games, though, so it's fine.
What was that about no negatives?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the lineup came out, and immediately, positive number one, potentially, was that it was the return of Craig Halkett into the starting 11. Hearts changed shape ever so slightly for the first time this season, and I think Robbie Nielsen's found something that works currently, because it was the same on Sunday when we'll get to that. However, Hearts lined up in a 4-3-3 with Craig Gordon in goals, Alex Cochrane, Stephen Kingsley, Craig Halkett and Michael Smith making up the back four. A midfield three of George Grant coming back in after his suspension, Cammy Devlin and Andy Halliday, with Barry Mackay, Josh Ginnelly on the flanks, and Lawrence Shankland up front in his own, but with the support of Mackay and Gino. What did you make of the team when it came out? Did you expect the system change? And how were you feeling about Craig Halkett coming back into the fold?
I was very pleased to see Craig Halkett come back into the fold. I think this was a good but tough game for him to come back into. Mm-hmm. What I will say is that when I saw the personnel's names, I didn't really account for us going a 4-3-3 as opposed to a 4-2-3-1. I'd assumed that it would be Halliday and Devlin in front of the back four with George Grant a little bit more advanced. So it was quite nice, actually, to see Halliday and Grant on either side of Cammy Devlin, who I believe to be was in the middle. Energy at the base of the midfield, and two boys that will equally work and can provide us with something further forward either side of them. So I was actually really encouraged. It appeared for all the world that we were actually going for it, which is great. And it certainly started that way, which was also encouraging to see. So, yeah, I'm happy that Josh Ginnelly was given a start. I feel like his pace is what's been missing from Hearts in recent weeks. And I think, all told, that's probably as strong a team as we could have named, obviously, bar the second goal scorer coming on and then his exploits on Sunday. So, yeah, all was well in the world once I saw that lineup and was feeling... Was I feeling confident? Probably not with the recent run of form, but I was quietly optimistic. There you are.
That's fair. It was for FIFA players, it was the 4-3-3 second variation with the sitter in front of the back four with the two sitting. And I assumed that the sitter would be Halliday, just because I expected him to be sat there, doesn't need to do a lot of running, but can kind of just start moves. But Devlin, as you say, the energy from that base worked really, really well. Again, I said last week, I just think Devlin's energy works really well in Europe. Like, he just seems to be up to that standard all the time.
It's almost like the telly cameras are on and he is angling for that move. I don't know what he's hoping for, really.
You just do this every week.
Well, listen, I mean, it's obviously paid off dividends because he's back in, or well, not back in the Australia fold, but he's in the Australia fold, hoping to win his first cap or whatever. Yeah, what did you say before that?
I was just going to say, I'm surprised that it was Devlin in that role instead of Halliday.
Yeah, it's trying to give off as much energy as he can.
Yeah,
because it looked for all the world like we were traipsing through mud. We were sort of running on empties for the vast majority of that game. But obviously, when we sealed the deal, that's when Cammy's energy came to the fore. But we'll get to that.
We will get to that because it was a very exciting start. Within the first 60 seconds, RFS nearly score, but it's a great save from Gordon to tip it onto the bar, which initially doesn't even seem like a save. It just looks like the boys hit the bar, but then you see the 4-3 play or something where it's massively slowed down. It's like, oh, we just have the best goalkeeper in the world. And he's just tipped that onto the bar.
Was that the one that hit the bar or looked like the post?
Oh, maybe. I can't mind what part of the woodwork it hit, but it was really early on.
There was one that looked as though it hit the post. I can't believe. Has that honestly come less than a minute?
Yeah.
We were saying this before we came on air. Time has gone to shit recently. Like this, we were not talking about the Turks last week. I refuse to believe that. Yeah. That feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, it's just pleased he got to it.
It was immediately. It was the tale of two goalkeepers though, because then 2 minutes later, Gino hits a 25-yarder. It looks like it's going in, and what a save as well to tip it over.
And this is where your frustration arises with Josh Ginnelly, because when he wants to be, he can actually contribute. Genuinely, I honestly believe he's better through the middle than out wide. I know his crossing was good in this game, but he's one of those players that I can't put my finger on why sometimes he's brilliant and other times he's brutal.
I think it's just because he's at us. Like, he would be at a higher level if he wasn't more consistent.
If he was so consistent, yeah, that's a fair comment. But I don't know. I couldn't believe it, because if that's a cross, then it probably shells off into the top of the stand and then it's hitting some Latvian ultras that were seemingly behind that goal. But yeah, I mean, like I say, had we conceded early, I really would have been worried, because not only would it not have been the clean sheets that we've obviously picked up, but just how demoralised must the boys be to concede so early on against what is perceived to be the worst team in the group. I know they picked up that point in Italy, and that was a fantastic result against Fiorentina. But the run that we were on, it was imperative that we shut the doors early on and tried to really take advantage of them on the counter. That team, RFS, we'd obviously highlighted the fact that they are enormous. I had assumed that they wouldn't be all that quick, given how large they were, rightly or wrongly. And I don't know whether Hearts just viewed that as exactly the same as I did. I don't know.
I think that's fair, because they were just, you looked at guys like Devlin, Mackay, Forrest when he came on, it was like, oh, we are playing against giants here.
The midfield and the attack looked like the Seven Dwarfs, didn't they?
Yes, exactly.
We Cochrane at left back, and midfield 3, front 3.
But speaking about one of our giants, the risk didn't pay off, as 22 minutes in, Craig Halkett, it's actually a challenge he goes into. Like, he makes the challenge, but then just doesn't get back up. And we're hearing mixed things as we're sat here recording this on Tuesday, the 20th of September. Robbie said after the game that he kind of just felt the same injury a wee bit. So he was like, I'm not risking this. I'm going to just ask to come off, which I think everybody hopes that is the case, that he was just being sensible and going, right,
definitely.
Yeah, this game, we might lose this game now, but the season overall is more important. It has been a few days, like almost a week since it's come out, and we've not had any news. However, that's to be expected now that we're in an international break. I'll be honest, I was really annoyed in the moment, because I didn't think we should have risked Halkett for this. I thought it was too early, and I think just personally, it was a completely needless risk.
But like, when is the perfect time to throw him in? Because if you're asking me in terms of our fixtures in the past week, Motherwell are a far better side and put us under far more pressure than RFS did. Do you then just leave it for the international break, hope that he builds up fitness throughout that, and then chuck him in for the Rangers game? Is that particularly wise? I don't know. I'd love to know Robbie's reasoning and his thoughts behind putting Halkett in. I criticise the manager a fair bit, I'll be honest, but I feel for him in that sense, because I don't know when is.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. And ultimately, again, this was sort of similar toward the back end of last season. Craig Halkett, by all accounts, rushed his recovery in order to be fit for the Scottish Cup final. And then what happened. It seems as though that's then had a domino effect into, obviously, the Zurich game in St. Gallen, onto Riga and Latvia. But when fully fit, he's certainly our best default central defender.
Yeah.
And we obviously wish him all the very best. However, Lewis Nielsen was absolutely phenomenal in his place. And I knew that you were going to come onto that, but I've got to get that in there first and foremost, because I was very, very impressed.
He was the next person I was going to speak of, because, of course, Halkett goes down, and I think every Hearts fan goes, right, this is the moment where Robbie will either go with the tried and tested that he has and brings on Toby Sibbick, probably moves Michael Smith inside and puts Sibbick right back, / Atkinson might make an appearance. But
would Haring have been a contender at centre
yeah,
half, maybe?
Haring drop in. I don't know.
Don't know.
However, Robbie Nielsen went with a ballsy move, and he needs to be commended for that, because Lewis Nielsen, who we've been saying it since we've seen him, every Hearts fan who's been seeing him has been saying it. He's not put a foot wrong yet in a Hearts jersey. Even I think all of us, though, would say it's maybe a wee bit of a step up to then suddenly go into group stage European football. Admittedly, not against the best opposition, but it's still European opposition for a 19-year-old.
Latvian champions at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
They've won a league title. It can't be that bad an outfit.
And once again, didn't put a foot wrong. Absolutely imperious. We'll get to his involvement in the second goal soon. But just, it's very early, right? Teenagers will have inconsistencies. They'll have dips in form.
Here we go.
But he just looks fantastic. It looks an incredible investment for the future.
And again, like, the whole fee is debated, but
yeah,
I'm going to say that it's a free transfer, and it could be one of the best free transfers we've made, provided, the last talent that emerged from Dundee United to Hearts in that particular position, we've probably mismanaged. Needless to say, I hope we don't do that again.
That's very fair. And then the game opened up for us, because Barry Mackay, who I want to speak about at the end of the game and at the end of this podcast, does a lovely wee turn. It's been gift 100 times. Then beats another guy and plays the ball through to Andy Halliday, who fires it across the face of goal, looking for Shankland. However, the RFS player has his arm up, hits his arm. Inexplicably, the ref goes to give a corner, so he knows it's made contact with the RFS player, but has been like, no, that's
come off like there, isn't it?
Yeah. However, I don't know if it's judging by the reaction of Devlin, Shankland, and Halliday that he's made him go, oh, wait now, hold on, I'll ask my linesman. And immediately the linesman goes, of course it's a penalty. He does give the penalty. And then, what we love that there.
It caves into the peer pressure.
He does.
I'm not having
it's right. It's justified peer pressure.
And you better believe I was screaming for it just like everybody else. But it's more in hope than expectation. So to actually see them point to the spot was fantastic. And it just goes to show what happens when you actually question decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like for far too long, Hearts sides haven't reacted for every single little bit that we want to go our way.
In fairness, that isn't even one of them. That's just a stone wall. Like, how can you not give this?
Of course it is, but this is my annoyance that I sometimes have. If I was a player, I'd be protesting for absolutely everything.
You'd be a nightmare, man.
Whether I believed it or not, 100%. Because like Scottish officials, week in, week out, dreadful. They've got to be up there with the worst in the world. And I know that this is obviously on a European stage, so it is that little bit different. But ultimately, they've reached the correct conclusion. So well done for the peer pressure. I'm not sure the man in the middle would have seen it, but it's a good job that the lino was paying attention.
Yes. And then Lawrence Shanklin steps up to take his second penalty in Europe. And like, you're rarely going to see a better penalty. It's an unbelievable hit to make it 1-0 to us.
Oh, top banjo.
Yeah.
Have some of that. Oh, just coolness personified, isn't he? I'm beginning to rapidly fall in love. Like, I've always been an admirer. I really have. When I saw the ridiculous goals that he scored for Ayr, I thought Dundee United signing him was a coup. Obviously, dragged them out that league pretty much single-handedly. What a wonderful footballer. And just an absolute fox in the box. Emphatic penalty, because there is a tiny part of me, given our track record with pens, that isn't. I'm not at the stage where I'm screaming and jumping up and down once we've been awarded a penalty. We sort of get it awarded, and I'm like, right, okay, there's a chance here. But I mean, that was just absolutely tremendous, upper echelon.
Definitely. And then for all the celebration, because of our number 9, our number 1 had to keep us in it almost immediately, as just before the half.
Because why go in at 1-0 up and look comfortable? Why look assured? Why make things trickier for yourself than need be?
Because
as only Heart and Midlothian Football Club do.
RFS get a free kick. They cross it in. It is a complete free header, inexplicably. Our set piece defending this season so far has been dreadful. But
so is our set piece attack.
Yeah, I know it has. Yeah,
crying out loud, honestly.
But maybe the tactic is we don't need to defend because we've got Craig Gordon in goals.
That's actually a point. I've remembered now the set pieces. They infuriated me. Why did we? And I know it's obviously to counter the fact that, like I say, we were playing the Harlem Globetrotters. Why did we take it short on so many occasions to then eventually whip it into the box? Not a single soul left the penalty area. I don't think any single time that we did it. So why not just chuck one in the mixer right away and see what happens? Honest to God, I was actually getting wound up watching us try and take these set pieces. Our set pieces haven't been good since Austin McPhee left the club. And my dad's argued that our set pieces have been shit for the best part of 40 years. There's such a pivotal part of the game. If we're directly shooting at goal, they're semi-decent. Trying to get sufficient contact from somebody proves a nightmare. However,
we did go into the break 1-0 up, and I felt that when we came back out into the second half, I won't say I wasn't worried, but in that second half, we dominated that game. Like, I thought it was quite even in the first half. I felt like it could have been like 2-2 in the first half, and it would have probably been a fair result. Whereas in the second, like, did Gordon have anything to do in the second half?
Look, put it this way, I'm just a nervous wreck. I've seen this tale far too many times to count. You know what I'm going to say, that 3-worded phrase that I always use, but I'll caveat that and just say there's always that chance, just one goal ahead. It takes a second to score a goal. So I was silently bricking it. My dad was cool, calm and collected, sat next to me. My missus was adamant that we'd go and get another. I'm just sat there in the middle like, please just do this. Don't piss this away. This was literally the golden opportunity to get rid of that bad run of form, have a feel-good factor, fly the flag for Scotland when it comes to the coefficient, given the Old Firm have let us down. I mean, crikey, what odds would you have got that Hearts would be the first ones to win a group stage match out the Scottish teams? That would have been a bet worth placing. But
yeah, I know.
Just Oh, just relieved that we did what we did.
Well,
it was genuinely more relief than happiness. I then saw happiness. But when I see all the fans celebrating, I'm like, do you know what? They've chucked their hard-earned dough. The gaffer said it himself. They paid good money to have the time of their life, cheer on the boys, and bring home 3 points. And honestly, could not be happier for the gaffer, all the coaching staff, the players, the fans. The entire club was literally just beaming with pride and relief come full time.
Well, that relief was compounded right at the very end of the half as Andy Halliday, who I thought had a very good game, makes a block.
I tell you what, something is in the air. I've just praised Robbie Nielsen, and you're saying Andy Halliday's had a good game. My God, what is going on?
You can't look at that game and not say he didn't have a very good game. He was really industrious. He just did his usual of playing in 19 different positions at any one time.
I was actually pleasantly surprised by how often he got forward. I think he does have an eye for goal, Andy Halliday. We've seen that on a couple of occasions last season. But he's yet to get off the mark this season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think it's too far away. I've been impressed with him recently.
Well, he makes an excellent block in the box, and then Lewis Nielsen did what he did for basically the entire game. You can very much tell he used to be a centre mid up until only a couple of years ago. It's evident how good he is on the ball because
I didn't know that, so good knowledge.
Yes, up until he was 16, he played as centre mid all his career, and then he got moved into centre half, and you can tell that. Sorry,
would that have been Robbie that shifted him to the back?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Or maybe, because I know that he was on loan at Falkirk from United as well.
That's a good question.
Maybe the Bairns saw something that I don't know. Somebody can enlighten me there, but
yeah, if anybody knows, that would actually be really helpful. But yeah, he takes it calmly. He's getting closed down by two players and just dinks it over both of them. Devlin then just takes one touch, is away. The guy's on his arse, and I think collectively an entire fan base, whether you were at the game, whether you were commentating on it, or whether you were watching at home, was screaming, pass to Humphreys. Devlin, stop running and pass Nick, Cammy, pass Nick. Now, you fucked it. And then he passes it to Alan Forrest, who just calmly slots it past, gets his goal, and Hearts win their first game in group stage football in 18 years. Keep a clean sheet away from home. The guy that we said would be a good signing, whereas other people said they weren't that impressed. We backed him, and of all the weeks to say we backed him, we're definitely making a point of that now. We get the win. How gutted, however, on his 25th birthday would you be if you were Stephen Humphreys?
I would be fizzing. I'm yet to score for the club that I've arrived at on loan. He must have missed some amount of sitters in training.
I know. What is he like?
Not a hope in hell's chance. I was actually somewhat surprised to see Cammy Devlin not take the shot on himself.
We'll get to that.
But uses his loaf. Alan Forrest absolutely busts a gut, catches up, and just, the relief, the joy, the pandemonium, superb. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned it about Alan Forrest, because I don't know, I just feel when I'm watching this Hearts team now that the onus isn't necessarily on Barry Mackay. I put it this way, I think Barry Mackay is our best playmaker. But
yeah, from Alan a creative point, it's still on Barry Mackay. But in terms of scoring, it's now not just, if Barry Mackay doesn't do anything, we're knackered.
Exactly, because we've got a plethora of players now, or you feel like we've got a plethora of players now that can contribute in the final third to alleviate the pressure off Lawrence Shankland, a fully fit Liam Boyce, Alan Forrest himself, whoever. And yeah, just great. I mean, how many counterattacks do we see fall? And I always say, I just think to myself, we are the only team in world football that does not score said opportunity. So when I actually see us seal the deal so late on as well, I love a counter-attack goal. I'm a sucker for it. I love persistent pressure, but sometimes there is something really nice about just shutting up shop, frustrating the opponents, and ultimately doing what they can to just bring home 3 points. Just poetic. It was poetry in motion. Great to see.
Well, Hearts then moved on, and speaking about playing against teams who really try to do something and can't, they travelled to Fir Park at the weekend, playing Motherwell. However, first of all, we will go around the grounds for the first time in a while, it feels like, as all the other games. Yeah. Now, we were one of 2 Sunday games. So the Saturday games were a stalemate 0-0 in Perth between St Johnstone and Ross County. Yep. Rangers with a less than convincing 2-1 home win against bottom of the league Dundee United. Livingston continued their trend of Jefferson Montano 1-0 wins, 3 on the bounce now against a Kilmarnock side that continue to struggle unless they're playing Hearts. And it's rounded out by Hibs having the strategy of let's just beat teams with 10 men. And so far, fair play to them, it's really working out for them as they battered Aberdeen 3-1. What did you make of the Saturday games?
Talking about Hibs there, I had a conversation with a good few of my Hearts pals. And we were trying to wind up the Hibs fans that are in our chat by saying that they only really do beat 10 men. I think they've literally beaten 11 men once in the league so far. And was that St Johnstone the opening day?
St Johnstone opening day 1-0, yeah.
They couldn't beat 9-man Rangers. Obviously, saying that, they actually clinched a 1-0 win against us. So,
true.
Yeah, no.
That's the whole thing going.
Elsewhere, stalemate in Perth. Absolutely no surprise. St Johnstone obviously used up their goal allocation against St Mirren 2 weeks ago.
They're starting to get points, though. In fairness to Davidson, they're starting to get points.
I know. I'm just banking on Dundee United and Kelly finally clicking into gear, but I feel like I could be waiting a while. Speaking of Kelly, I had Livingston to beat them 1-0 because, like you say, Christian Montano and 1-0 just.
I think I called him Jefferson Montano, who is a different player.
That just seems to be a bet builder's dream. So I don't even know who they've got after the break, but I'd be inclined to stick some dough on that. Yeah,
Jefferson Montero plays for
was that the boy that was at Swansea?
Yeah, that's the guy who was at Swansea. The Colombian. That's Ecuadorian. That's not the same person.
No, it's not. But we Christian. Looks good. And what was it like? Rangers at Ibrox. Dundee United are still winless, but put up a good fight. Antonio Cholak can only score at Ibrox. I say this now before he bags on it.
Why would you say that?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Kept his fate.
That's getting clipped.
Yeah, that's getting clipped, and when he does, then that's going to be all over my Twitter.
He's got Antonio Cholak in and shush you.
Antonio Cholak is by far a better centre forward than Alfredo Morelos ever was. I don't know why he's still there.
Right, Morelos is now going to get the winner.
Oh yeah, you can't win. You honestly can't win. Ryan Kent's not turned up yet, but I know a club that he will turn up against. Yeah, nothing surer.
That is the annoying thing because I'll be honest, I really like Cholak.
Do you?
I really like him. I like a striker that just comes in and scores like every game. He doesn't really do much else, but he just scores.
No, he doesn't. And I get the impression that he just doesn't really give a shit while he's doing
it. Yeah, I rate it.
You've got to rate it. Rate it. But talking about just the cinch, premium cinch on Sunday, as we'll get into.
Well,
obviously with our game, but beforehand, the floor is yours.
I don't even really know what to say. The day before, they were going to go a year unbeaten as their last loss against Livingston away. Yeah. Ange Postecoglou apparently is cursed at New St Mirren Park as the Buddies got a historic 2-0 victory over Celtic. They had 21% possession. They had 4 shots, 2 on target, scored both their shots on target. Joe Hart's class, isn't he? Joe Hart, it's amazing passing accuracy. Oh, he's amazing.
What about his dive for the Shakhtar goal in midweek?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, dare I say it, if that was Craig Gordon...
Yeah, exactly. But Celtic lost to St Mirren. That is now, Ange Postecoglou played 2 games at that stadium, got 1 point and not scored any goals.
All right, enough. They drew 0-0 last year. That is right. Was that not a COVID hit St Mirren as well, if my memory serves?
I think so, yeah. I think that was the whole thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It is never nice to see St Mirren win a football match. But when it's at Celtic's expense, it is quite funny.
It's no bad.
I think they were something like 11-1 before the game.
Wow.
Somebody said they saw them at 16s. I mean, that is a phenomenal
I saw
result.
somebody say they were at 20.
Bloody hell. I mean, I'd love to know what they were to win to 0 or Mirren and no for both teams to score. Yeah. I can't really say anything other than why ring 6 changes prior to the international break.
Crazy.
It seems bizarre. And aside that, they lost to St Johnstone in their last league game, but prior to that, I think they picked up 3 wins for the first time since like 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
And consecutive clean sheets too. So we might actually be Stephen Robinson and St Mirren an apology when it comes to the end of the season. I'm quietly worried as to the start that they've made. That's not nice. But yeah, it's a good laugh. I'm just pleased that nobody can go unbeaten in the Cinch, because I think it just does make an absolute mockery of a league. Arsenal doing it down south, like they drew 12 games. I'm not having that it's as great an achievement as some made it out. And I get the impression that Man City are just on another level.
I was going to say, Man City will do it.
Because that Newcastle game, I mean, I said it to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Toon being your team, that just seemed as though they were down and out. And from nowhere, make a couple of changes because their squad's an absolute disgrace. And before you know it, it's 3 each. And they're probably unfortunate to not win the game.
We in that game, Joe Linton sets up Trippier on the edge of the box and he hits the bar. And when that didn't go in, that was before. And when I was like, right, I don't think we're winning this. And then it just turns like that's how good they are. But Celtic will not be joining that class.
Yeah,
thankfully.
So that's always nice.
And then it got to our game, a game that neither of us were particularly confident last time going into, for very, very fair reasons. We hadn't won in 4 at Fir Park. Last season was really poor.
2018 our last win there. I couldn't believe that.
In the league, I think we beat them in the cup in 2019 where Smith scored that with Raker.
That's right.
Yeah.
Smith and Washington, was it?
Yeah, it was 2-1 win. Yeah. However, we turned up and somebody brand new specifically turned up because finally, during the week...
Taking bloody long enough.
Yes. Arestis Kiyomotoroglu got his visa. We're in. He's here. He can actually play football. And
what's that meme? It's like he's here, he's perfect.
Yeah, he's here and he's perfect. Yeah. He actually got his debut as well. And there was another debut to come who we'll speak about soon. But Nielsen stuck with a 4-3-3. Obviously, Halkett came out for Keogh and Nielsen, and it was a flat back 4. Cochrane, Kingsley, Nielsen, Smith. The midfield 3 of Halliday, Devlin, and instead of Grant, it was Keogh. And then that front 3 of Mackay, Shankland, and quite interestingly, Gino was dropped. I think you'll probably feel a bit gutted about that. I don't know if it's just tiredness or the fact that Forrest came on and scored, so you want to...
I think it's the latter. But again, Giannelli did perform well in Latvia, so I think he has got, sufficient reason to feel hard done by.
Definitely. And I'll be honest, this was the most fun game since we last played Dundee United. Because Dundee United games are just always fun with us like that. But this was so much fun. It was like a basketball game.
I mean, we've said it for a couple of weeks now. Hamel ball was in full flow.
Oh, I love Stevie Hamill. I'm saying it, right? I really like Stevie Hamill. I don't really like Motherwell, but I like Stevie Hamill.
I don't mind Motherwell. And I might get a bit of stick for that, but I genuinely don't mind them. The Motherwell mates of mine that I've got are all sound guys. So I don't know. I feel like they spread the right messages. I
like them as a club, like the way they're run.
Yeah.
Like they're a good club run.
But I get why you don't like some of their fans.
Yeah. And players as well. And
no doubt come on to.
Yeah. It just kind of was frantic. No one could really get a foot on the ball. Whenever one team would push forward, it just seemed like, oh, they could score. And then as soon as the play turned over, it was, oh, they could concede immediately as well.
I mean, I know that we've given Stevie Hamill a fair bit of credit, and he's probably, well, is he your favourite opposition manager within the Cinch? No?
Jim Goodwin.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Well, after his comments on Saturday were quite funny to be fair, Jim Goodwin. But
I just fancy him. That's it, though. He's just an attractive man. So that's my main aspect of it.
I can't even remember what I was going to say.
I've derailed you.
I feel so derailed. What were we talking about just there?
Right, well, I can get on to the first point of call in the game. And it was, sadly, the other guy I'm in love with, Alex Cochrane, getting hurt. Because we cannot go through a game without having an enforced substitution.
Oh, I'm so angry. Firstly, Cochrane went off, but I've forgotten what I was going to say. I hate when that happens.
No, what you were going to say was how we've given Stevie Hamill credit, but because I was like, they look like they could score at any time and concede at any time.
Yes, that's right. I was going to say that it was simultaneously a great but shite advert for Scottish football.
No.
I thought, like, it was a great game.
Yeah.
But was quality at an all-time high?
It's a great advert for what Scottish football is, though.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, that's true. We've not got the best product on the park. Off the park's great. There's constant chaos in the Cinch. I mean, yeah.
I love it.
Just get into chat.
But yeah, so Cochrane jumped up for a header against Efford, I think it was. I believe so. And he got a knee. He got a knee to the back. Tried to continue for a period of time and just had to come off. And it is like, and I get your point that you started this podcast with, going, it's quite frustrating that we've just had 2 back-to-back wins, away from home clean sheets, and now the international breaks come. I personally disagree. I think it couldn't have come at a better time for us, because now we've got a lot of momentum. That momentum will, it's not like it's a 3-week break. It's just 1 week off. The momentum carries on and it allows people to rest up and get fit.
Hopefully a player or two back into the equation if we're lucky. Yeah, do you know what? I feel like the break will help quite a lot of Scottish Premiership clubs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the World Cup, if it's because of the combination of the World Cup and the Queen, if it's all just a big mishmash because of Hearts, Rangers and Celtic all trying to compete continentally as well as domestically. But I mean, I think I heard Andy Halliday say that our treatment table's like a disco. Everybody just seems to be rocking up at the minute. Yeah, there's 2 sides to every coin. I'm just frustrated because it's nice to see us win games. We've been starved of it for a little while. It's good. Great goals. But yeah, look, if you offered me the chance to rest up with, as we've gonna allude to, a tricky month in October to come, then perhaps the international break has come at a good time. And particularly the fact that the Scotland squad is an absolute shambles, and only Craig Gordon's our representative, our sole Hearts player in there.
Well, someone who isn't in there, but some Hearts fans may want him to be or think he should be, Lawrence Shankland continued his goal-scoring form as a long ball is played up. And I don't think Alan Forrest is getting the credit for this goal that I think he should do. Because what he does is he makes a run that means the centre-half doesn't know whether or not to go across to Shankland or go across to Forrest, and it means he's completely caught sliding, ends up heading it down towards Shankland, who's completely unmarked because the rest of the defence has just decided to leave him alone, hits it, and it is I almost feel really bad for Liam Kelly because it's a fantastic save by Liam Kelly, but it just so happens to go exactly back to Shankland's feet, who, listen, we're Hearts fans. Let's just say he did it deliberately. But I don't know if he did it deliberately. He kicks it into the ground so it bounces up and over Liam Kelly's arm. And it's 1-0 us.
I think that is meant. Ricky Lamy doesn't know if it's the Happy Mondays, Pancake Tuesday, or Sheffield Wednesday, does he? He's just an absolute goner. And his partner, Solholm Johansson, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I don't know where the heck he is. I couldn't believe the amount of space that Lauren Shankland had. And when I was watching it, I was watching it and thinking, is that legit? Like, has it been caught offside? Because of the space that he's in and the fact that nobody's near him, I sort of thought that they might flag for offside, as daft as that sounds, just because it looked so routine. And it is so routine because Motherwell are nowhere to be seen. Look, a second bite of the cherry. I don't care. He bags goals. Simple as. It's an outstanding save. And I am fully convinced that he does mean to sort of dink-ish over Liam Kelly.
Let's give him it. Who cares? Like,
doing what he does, mate. Doing what he does.
As I said, it was kind of just still like the walking wounded. So at this point, Cochrane eventually comes off for Haring. Halliday moves out to left back. Likewise, for Motherwell, Joe Efford just pulls up out of what seems like nothing. And former Newcastle United winger Rolando Aarons comes onto the park. And I went out loud, right, I wonder if he's still really fast, but doesn't do anything else apart from be really fast, as I had to watch for 5 years. And that was almost proven to be wrong, as pretty quickly after we scored, a nice little play with McGinn ends up with McGinn firing over the bar. And that kind of leads us to half time, because all the excitement really happened in the second half properly. But we go in 1-0, we come back out. And I've seen some Motherwell fans, and listen, I get it. When we speak about the game, it's like the result doesn't really paint a picture of how the game went. We'll put that lightly.
Absolutely right? Not.
Right? But Motherwell, I have seen some Motherwell fans saying that they were the better side. I would personally disagree. I think they were the better side for the last 20 minutes, whereas for the majority of the game, we were very in control. And that was continued in the very start of the second half with a wonderful goal from us. Alan Forrest starts the move by picking it up and flicking it back across to the byline to Smith, who fizzes it inside right onto the penalty spot for Shankland, who instead of trying to turn and hit it, actually just holds off Johansson, completely opens it up, and then Forrest, who started it, runs in, and all he has to do is pass it into the corner. 2-0 us, 2 goals in 2 games for Forrest. We're amazing at football.
My favourite goal this season so far by a country mile. It's
That's
not even
fair.
close.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. And Shankland and Forrest were obviously the heroes in Latvia.
Mm-hmm.
So just like we were talking about Christian Montano and 1-0, I was thinking Shankland and Forrest 0-2. That's it. That's the go-to now, obviously, before it's yet another. But you can see that they've obviously played together, a mile from me, and just fantastic. Just great link up. So pleased that Shankland's got that side to his game as well, because it's easy for a centre forward to be greedy, having already scored, and try and get a shot away, but picks out his pal, who makes a great run and a fantastic finish. I mean, that is one that his elder brother James would certainly be proud of, given we've seen him do that to a fair few teams, sometimes including us. But yeah, great goal, and the fans quite rightly went absolutely mental. Just pleased that we were somehow found ourselves 2-0 up at a venue that we have struggled at for a good few years now. And do you know, again, like, I would have been very intrigued to see what would have happened to Hearts had we conceded, with Motherwell beginning to pile on the pressure. I think the stats read the way that they do, and the game fizzled out in the way that it did, because ultimately Motherwell had to get on the front foot. They had to try and get back into the match, perhaps feeling aggrieved that they were 1-0 down or whatever. But if you're at home, against. We've proven ourselves to be a decent side in this division now. Then you can't blame them for going for it whatsoever. But ultimately, sometimes you get picked off as a result. And thankfully, we've got some quality in the final third that helped us to do that, which was great to see.
Well, absolutely fucking lol at Paul McGinn, because inexplicably,
God, mate.
he does not score as
that's miss of the season so far.
Yeah, definitely.
In any game I've seen.
Yeah, 100%. The ball is played across. It gets to Kevin Van Veen, who, before we speak about Paul McGinn, I'm not going to go as far and say Kevin Van Veen's a myth, because he's not.
You were banging this drum last season.
Right? Has he ever played well against us?
Yeah. You can just see it now, can't you? A mile off. I don't know when we played Motherwell.
I was going to say,
but that's
it could be in a while now.
It's
fine. It's fine now.
Oh, Jesus.
He's played 4 times against us, scoring
He'll
1
be
goal.
battering the Motherwell goal. Liam Kelly will have an absolute masterclass, and then it'll be like a Van Veen pen. And we'll just be like, oh, thanks for that, MacGyver.
Van Veen is clearly a good striker for Motherwell. I just don't think he's... Well, I've never seen him play well against us.
He and Molt could cause problems.
He could, yeah, definitely. I think they will. I think they'll get them
provided that
top
it's not
6.
against us. Yeah, I don't really care. That would be nice. Just keep it away from Hearts, please.
Kevin Van Veen does head the cross just onto Craig Gordon's post, who is sprawled completely and is trying to get back up. And every Motherwell fan starts celebrating before Paul McGinn even touches it. They probably should have seen it was Paul McGinn and went, oh, wait, something could go wrong here.
Hey, listen, you'll be able to pick out his ugly pass, let's be honest.
And inexplicably, he has 98% of the goal he missed from. The XG on that must be about 0.98. Like, it must be as close to a 1 as this is a guaranteed goal as you can possibly get. And yet it somehow hits off the other post and lands back in Craig Gordon's hands. What?
When your luck's out, it's well and truly out.
Yeah.
That just summed up their day. You feel as though Motherwell, we're recording this on Tuesday night. You feel as though Motherwell could be playing up till now, having kicked off on Sunday and still wouldn't have scored. That honestly sums it up. Because listen, CG pulled out a couple great saves.
Yeah.
But that could it change the complexion of the game? In theory,
it's 1-0 at that point, though. It's 1-0 at that point.
Oh,
so
sorry.
It would have been 1-0.
So then they're firmly in it. Yeah. And with a crowd on their side at home, with their recent, albeit before this week, defensive frailties, the complexion of that game could easily change. But thankfully, it is just an absolute sitter. Where does that compare? Like, we've seen some bad misses in recent seasons. I was thinking GMS, was it Dundee?
Yeah, where he was a yard out.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Is that on the Gary Mackay-Stevens scale? Where does that?
It's as bad. It's as bad, if not worse.
If not worse.
Yeah. It's
really
an
absolute shocker. I can't remember as glaring a miss against Hearts in my life.
Well, 66 minutes hits the clock and the game changes a wee bit because Motherwell make a triple sub as we have just made a double sub. So another debut, Robert Snodgrass, gets onto the park as a Hearts player.
Sorry, we didn't talk about this prior to the 11 being selected. I was probably more of the belief that Robert Snodgrass would be the likelier of the two to make their debut at Motherwell than Keogh.
That's fair.
Rightly or wrongly, I don't know if you shared that same
opinion. I do get that. I thought Snodgrass would kind of be more ready to just straight away come into the side because of his experience. But
it's apparent, having not kicked the ball for 3-4 months, I think I heard somebody say
like
that he's obviously trying to get up to speed, and it may well be a Barry Mackay situation whereby they've not had that pre-season. Obviously, for Snodgrass, it's going to be even harder given the age that he's at to try and catch up. But I still think that that's a solid sign. He'll come good, and I'm convinced.
And Stephen Humphreys made his fourth appearance, for Hearts. Replacing Lawrence Shankland. And then Steve Hamill made a triple sub because Ricky Lamy, whilst obviously, yes, he had that moment which directly led to him conceding, but I actually thought that Ricky Lamy did really well with Shankland because he kind of bullied him. Humphreys comes on and Lamy tries to do the same thing that he did, and Humphreys just sits him down immediately, being like, "You're not going to do that with me." And immediately, Stevie Hamill goes, "Ricky, come off. I'm getting Bevis on," because he's a unit as well. And Mugabe, Moult, and that, how do you say, is it McKinstry?
McKinstry.
Stuart McKinstry, the Motherwell youngster who was bought by Leeds, but then sent back to them on loan.
A couple of years down the line, I think.
Yeah. And that, as I say, it's kind of when the game changed because it really allowed Motherwell to start pressing us. The 2-0 down, as you say, they need to open up. They technically score as a great save from Gordon is palmed back out to Kevin Van Veen, who he either shoots and it's going in or wide, or he's fizzing it across the box it's going in or wide. But regardless, Louis Moult with his first touch in a move that I was like, of course, this is what's happening. After Hearts fans have chastised the idea of signing Louis Moult during the summer.
I know, it wouldn't be like us.
Of course, he's going to come on and score, but he doesn't. It's offside. And then, in my opinion, Alan Forrest rightly gets man of the match. But
sorry, before you go on and chat about Alan Forrest, I was thinking that Louis Moult, had that goal stood, and it was the correct decision, he was marginally offside.
Yeah.
Had that goal stood, that would have just reeked of Martin Boyle. And then I would have thought, why the hell the club heroes just come back and score against Hearts on like their fairy tale return?
Yeah.
I don't want that to be a common theme. But thankfully, it wasn't. That would have been the only way that Motherwell would have scored.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they certainly weren't elsewhere.
Well, the only other, as I was going to say, Alan Forrest rightly got man of the match. But in terms of the performance as a whole, I actually think the best player in that part was Matt Penny from Motherwell. I thought he was
back.
I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Good. He was constantly the one putting balls in that were being really dangerous. He then had two separate shots. One of them, Gordon gets hurt, which was immediately terrifying because by that point we'd used all our subs. And it was like, right, Stephen Humphrey's huge. Put him in goals if Gordon's hurt. But Gordon gets
Sander
hurt.
Clark would have watched on raging.
Well, he wasn't even on the bench.
Oh, neither he was.
Stuart was on the bench.
Oh, God. Then they definitely would have scored.
Yeah.
At least one. At least three.
A corner comes in, Gordon punches it, but hurts his knee as he lands. However, somehow gets back up to save Penny's shot out for another corner, and then gets laid out back to Penny, who rifles it from 25 yards. Gordon doesn't move, and it hits the stanchion of the bar, literally the corner of the bar and the post, and thankfully it just comes back out to Gordon. And then, despite Motherwell having 25 shots, with only 5 on target, admittedly.
Persistent pressure, wasn't it?
We then kind of take advantage. The Sibic and Atkinson had come on at this point. Keogh and Haring keep the ball quite well. Play to Kingsley, who just plays this pass that takes out about 6 Motherwell players in a single move. Fair play to Atkinson, a fantastic run to make it in the first place, and he just puts it on a plate for Alan Forrest. Onside, taps it in, 2 goals in the day, 3 goals in 2 games, absolutely on fire. And somehow we're 3-0 up away from home at Motherwell.
Inexplicably. I mean, Motherwell just felt the full exploits of a Forrest Thump, didn't they? That was that was it. Oh, thank you. Very well. There's your title, mate.
Yep, exactly.
Again, another counter-attacking goal. I'm absolutely all for it. Can't get enough of it. Inject that content into my veins. And that Stephen Kingsley pass. Oh, majestic. You could watch that on repeat. You really could. That is the definition of eye of a needle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scintillating stuff from the Gorgie, and the travelling fans rewarded with making the journey through. You'll love to see it.
It ends 3-0. And see, see when we lost the back-to-back games against Zurich, and in that we had the Celtic game and stuff like that. How do you think you would have reacted if someone would have told you going into the international break, we would be clear in third with all our injuries and second in the European group as well?
I'd love to have known what they'd have been smoking, but that speaks up the standard of the Singe. And we're just lucky that Istanbul will hopefully run away with the group so that when we play them on the final match day, they can give the backup brigade a chance. And you never know, we might actually have a chance in Turkey. Albeit the club are charging 975 quid for you to go and see that. So that's great. Look, we are in a good spot right now. But as we've said, October looks absolutely disgusting.
Well,
given the sides that we play, the venues that we play at. Oh, yeah, it's come back to me prior to the World Cup kicking off. I'm not saying too much yet.
That's a very good segue because obviously it's the international break now. So there's no game this weekend. So we're going to take next Tuesday off. So we're now going to speak about the first of those October games, as after the international break, we welcome Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's, in their terms, struggling Rangers. In our terms, still Rangers are coming to Tynecastle. How do you feel about it?
And out of form Rangers, albeit they won their last game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? The Rangers games at Tynecastle really disappointed me last season. The 2-0 was, I felt like Motherwell that day. We peppered Rangers that day, particularly toward the start, but it was just minutes of madness and real quality actually on the day that ultimately separated the sides then. And then obviously their backup brigade came and wiped the floor with us in an embarrassing performance that had fans questioning the start of this season and the end of last. But prior to that, when we were shit, we actually had a decent record against
We
them.
ruined Steven Gerrard's life. Like our worst team ever cost them the league and Scottish Cup in the space of 2 weeks.
Is a good way of putting it. I can see why, Sharp Dev and various other Rangers fans despise my guts. So yeah, look, I don't know. I honestly feel like they're there for the taking, given recent performances. I mean, they won against United, but weren't at their best. But it depends what Hearts turn up. We have no reason to be disheartened heading into this.
If we win, we'll go joint second.
Which is enough of an incentive. We've got a decent-ish recent record at Tynecastle against Rangers, albeit last season, as I've just alluded to, wasn't great. And is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst under a bit of pressure? Some fans seem to think he is. Yet, obviously, they've closed the gap at the weekend there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Listen, it should be an absolute cracker. But I don't really have a definitive outcome in my head, if I'm honest. I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling heading into it. Quietly confident, for sure. We can take something. But will we? Will they pick up a win that could send out a statement this season? I listened to Craig Levine talking on Sports Sound, and he was talking about the fact that it's amazing that one game can change the entire complexion of a season. Ultimately, we've had ours with Riga. Rangers could arguably still be searching for theirs to try and get them back to within touching distance of Celtic or overtake Celtic. So, I don't know. I really don't know how I'm feeling. I'm looking forward to it, but
yeah, it'll be good.
But couldn't tell you. I feel like we could win. I equally feel like we could lose. Is a share of the spoils on the cards? I don't know.
Well, you're going to hate me because I want a score prediction.
I'm going to be optimistic. This episode has been optimistic. I'm going to leave some of the pessimism behind, and I'm going to say that we're definitely going to score twice.
Oh, okay.
Do we concede though? I'll go 2-1 Hearts.
I was going to go 2-1 Rangers. So we agree on the score.
That's probably what I'm going to write.
Okay.
But do I believe that? I don't know. I
Well,
honestly don't know. I think that's probably the trickiest game to call.
Yeah.
Out that set of
Yeah,
fixtures.
it's going to be hard. But we will see. However, now, to finish off as always, it's the quiz. It's the
Here we
quiz.
go.
Now, I've made it clear to Adam before recording, I think this is the hardest Who Am I I've done. So the other
I've had
questions...
a long day today. This could be tough.
The other questions, I think, are a wee bit easier, maybe. Although actually looking at them, maybe they're not. I think some of these questions are easy to give, like, wee softballs, confidence building into the Who Am I.
Oh, yeah, thanks. And then
Sorry.
demoralise me after the Who Am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate
So-
it. Thanks, mate.
As ever, we've got 2 normal questions, a true or false, a multiple choice, and the Who Am I. So, we'll start off with question number 1. And it's not actually speaking about someone in Scotland, because this weekend, Heung-min Son scored a hat-trick as a substitute in the English Premiership. The
Okay.
last player to do that in the English Premiership is a former Hearts player. Who was it?
Stephen Naismith.
Correct. Stephen
Against
Naismith.
Chelsea, wasn't it?
It is Chelsea versus Everton in 2015. See, and yet I give you that one.
Nice.
It's because there's not many options to choose from
Nice.
there.
That's an unorthodox question. I like it.
Right, true or false? Our new signing Keo scored only 1 goal for his former club, but it was a 96th minute winner in his side's derby. The derby was, I don't really know how to pronounce his team's name.
Heracles versus.
Heracles versus FC20.
What's that derby? Is it?
Yeah. According to Wikipedia, it is.
This sounds very specific, but knowing you did this. You conned me with this with Kai Rolls and that chess champion.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that actually.
So do I believe you on this occasion?
I can tell you for his. Oh, I didn't get the name of the club, but the club he started off with, he scored 4 goals for them, and then for Heracles, he
You've
only
clearly
scored
done
1.
your research, but do I fall into the trap? I think I do, and say true.
You're 1 for 2 because it's false. He actually scored 8 goals for his previous side.
Bastard. Did he score a 96th minute?
No, I just totally
You
made
just
it up.
totally made that up. Nice.
Totally made it
Brilliant.
up.
Stop believing him.
Question number 3. You're doing okay, 50-50. Heart of Midlothian won 3-0 away from home in the league this past weekend. When was the last time we replicated that exact result, a 3-0 away win?
I saw that. I was there. It was at Dens against Dundee, wasn't it?
It was
Unbelievable.
indeed. It was indeed. October 2018.
Yeah, I remember that. Was it a Bazanic free kick? Naismith. I missed Bazanic's free kick, by the way. Took us at the pub.
He did score in the 2nd minute. So
and Stephen McLean.
he's got all 3 of them as well. Fair play. Very well
I
done.
remember that. Good night, that.
See, you're doing well. You're doing well.
Well, I've got baited, but other than that, I'm doing all right.
Question number 4. I really like it when you get the true or false ones wrong that I just totally make up.
So annoying.
So
Honestly, I don't know whether that's beginning to annoy me more than the Who Am I's. I think it is because I've got more likelihood to get the true or false and still fuck it up.
You're still 0 for 3, I think. Because you also got the Snodgrass one.
Oh, Jesus, I did.
Multiple choice. If Craig Gordon in this international break plays all 3 games, how many caps will he have? Is it A, 70? Is it B, 73? Or is it C, 76?
Bollocks. I felt as though he was on 66, but that can't be right. 3 from 70 would be 67. Is that right? Because 76. I don't think it's 73. I'm not going to go middle for diddle. But am I overestimating Craig Gordon or am I getting him absolutely spot on? This is the question. I'm going to say that he's on 67 caps and therefore he will go to 70. Is it A?
You are incorrect. He is currently on 70 and will end up down the middle on 73.
He was 70 caps.
He's
and
on
missed
70
3
caps.
years.
Yep.
That is ridiculous.
That's according to the official SFA website. So if that's wrong, then they're having a laugh over there.
Fair play. I'm sorry, CG.
Right. And we come to the. So he's 2 for 2.
I'm not happy with the performance in the quiz. The only way this can be salvaged is to finally get
Yes,
who am I.
the hardest
will
who
not
am
be
I.
salvaged.
Right. Here we go. Who am I? I came through the Hearts Academy and made my debut 2 days before Christmas. I scored my first goal against Rangers in a 2-2 draw. I played 87 times for Hearts, but over 70% of those appearances came off the bench. I left Hearts due to a plethora of fan favourite talent coming into my position. My last season was a very successful one for the club in general, and I have exclusively played in Scotland.
So he's only played in Scotland?
He's only played in Scotland.
Ooh. Initially, I had something like Marcus Coutinho in my head. Can you repeat the questions?
Yeah, of
Or
course.
the statements?
I came through the Hearts Academy and made my debut 2 days before Christmas. I scored
Was that in a draw or the defeat to Dundee under Cathro? I feel like it was.
I scored my first goal against Rangers in a 2-2 draw. I played 87 times for Hearts, but over 70% of those appearances were as a substitute. I left Hearts due to a plethora of fan favourite talent coming into my position. My last season at the club was a very successful one for the club at large, and I have exclusively played in Scotland.
I'm going to ask for all the clubs.
Yes, of course.
So you did that, so that's usually a good starting point.
So he came through us. He came through our academy. So Hearts, Cowdenbeath, Dunfermline, Queen of the South twice, Wraith Rovers, and Alloa.
So is he currently at Alloa? No. Yeah, he must be. Bollocks. Queen of the... Sorry, Hearts, Cowdenbeath. Who did you say after that, sorry?
Dunfermline, 2 separate stints at Queen of the South, Wraith Rovers, and Alloa.
2 separate stints at Queen's? Oh my God.
It's a hard one. It is a hard one. I'll be very impressed if listeners get it.
I don't have the foggiest.
You've got one more question still.
God.
You've still got a question.
I know, but the fans' favourite thing's throwing me off. Is he a central midfield player?
Is that your second question?
Yeah, I'm going to use that as my second question.
You're correct.
A central midfield player. Hearts, Cowdenbeath, Dunfermline, Queens. Who played for Queens twice? Wraith Rovers and Alloa. Oh my God. So he must still be there now. Oh, Jesus. If this guy's a free agent, I'm going to smack you up. Who the hell plays for Alloa? Oh, God. I am struggling here. A central midfield player.
I think he also played like a wee bit further forward, a wee bit further back. But yeah, he is like a centre midfielder.
I've used my questions as well now.
You have. You've used your 2.
Oh.
In fairness, for the first time ever, you actually used useful
Yeah, I got credible
questions.
answers, but I've still not got a player popping in my head. Oh, God almighty.
As I say, this is easily the hardest one I've ever done. So don't beat yourself up too bad.
I'm trying to think. This must have been under Levine, because he signed a plethora of midfielders, sort of all. And I'm thinking Lee, but then he didn't sign June right enough. I don't know who. Oh, God. Oh, no, this is so annoying. I feel like I'm going to be absolutely gutted when you tell me who it is. Came through the Hearts Academy. See, the whole Fife Clubs thing. Who's played for Cowdenbeath, Dunfermline, and Raith Rovers?
Yeah, it is all that area.
His Queens, Harry Cochrane was obviously at Queens, but now I think he plays for Montrose. No, he was at Montrose, now he plays for Queens. And you would have said Montrose. He joined Dunfermline along with Anthony McDonald, but Anthony's playing for...
I'll even give you this, right? I'll give you this as an additional thing. Cowdenbeath, he went to on loan. Whereas he then left us for Dunfermline, Queen South twice, Wraith. No.
Oh. Cowdenbeath. Who, if we went out to Cowdenbeath? Dunfermline. Who would...
Thought I'd give you that one.
I've got somebody like Stephen Simmons in my head. I've got no idea. Is it? It is in our lifetime. I'm going to say it just because he's in my head. Stephen Simmons. No idea.
Incredibly, he's got the hardest one ever. It is
Oh,
Stephen Simmons.
Yes! Come on!
Very well done.
Get in there. Yes!
Very well done.
Come
What made you think of Steve Simmons?
I just felt like he'd left us for Dunfermline. I don't know.
He did.
As soon as you said on a permanent basis, I honestly thought...
I think he signed with them on a permanent basis.
That's mad.
Yeah, he did. He signed on an initial
right.
6 months.
Yeah.
So I'll
yes.
I'll explain the clues with further detail. So his first game came for us when we beat Dundee United 3-1 on the 23rd of December 2000. He scored his first goal against Rangers in a 2-2 draw. I couldn't believe this. He played 87 times for us, but over 70% of them were as subs. That's incredible.
That is incredible. I'd have thought there would have been more starts, but he felt like, this is doing him a disservice, a secondary squad player.
Well,
really.
That then perfectly falls in because
hence his later clubs.
Yeah, he left us, and I just put this due to a plethora of fan favourite talent because up against him in his time was Scott Severin, Phil Stamp, Paul Hartley, and then Bruno Aguilar in his last season.
Yeah, as soon as you said about the fan favourites, I was thinking, that is Phil Stamp territory. That
yeah. Then my last season was a cup winning season because he left us in 2006. Obviously, he won the cup, and then the club. So yeah, 1998, he joined us after leaving Celtic Boys Club, but he signed his first professional contract with us in 98 through to 2006. Steve Simmons, and finally Adam Hazahour. It is 4-1.
Hallelujah!
He's on the board.
Come on, about bloody time.
I'm
amazing what happens when you don't ask about former managers, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, when you actually ask questions that are useful.
Logical questions.
To find out.
Wow.
Can he get Ruben Palazuelos, but he can get Steve Simmons?
That sums up my brain. That sums me up.
The fact that I said they exclusively played in Scotland and your first guess was Marcus Godinho.
It was before you said that.
Oh, right.
It was literally when you mentioned the Hearts Academy, and I felt like Godinho made his debut in that defeat to Dundee under Cathro. That might be total nonsense. So that's who I had in my head. And then when you said the later clues, I was like, well, it obviously can't be because he plays for like the Whitecaps now or whatever. So, and then I thought, well, if it's not Godinho, maybe it's his pal Zanata, who I see is now at Aki's. So
yeah, true.
What a time to be alive.
Well,
I'm chuffing myself.
Not only are Hearts going into the international break in their good mood, Adam Kennedy is as he finally gets the Who Am I? What a novelty.
But again, frustration that I can't get my revenge on you next week. So,
We're fine. So yes, we hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's been a very, very positive week for Hearts generally. So we hope you have
Couldn't
enjoyed.
get any better.
Exactly. If you have, please do share this about on all the social media platforms. We are at Perth Paisley on all of them. We're also perthpaisley@gmail.com if you want to contact us. That way, if you've enjoyed listening to us on a podcast platform, please leave us a review on it. Really does help. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, comment as well. Adam, where can they get you on social media?
They can get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendall, and you can see me waxing lyrical about Stephen Simmons. God bless you.
What a man, the retired man through Falkirk now. And yeah, as we said, we're taking a week off as it's an international break. We'll be back for the Rangers game. Preview Fiorentina, which is going to be some laugh.
That'll be fun.
And anything else that happens then. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Mojites!